Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 12th City Council meeting. Please rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Argenzio.
Here.
Here. Councilor Janino.
Here.
Here. Councilor Guarino-Sawaya.
Here.
Here. Councilor Haas.
Here.
Here. Councilor Jaramillo. Absent. Councilor Kelly.
Here.
Here. Councilor McKenna.
Here.
Here. Councilor Novoselsky. Absent. Councilor Silvestri.
Here.
Here. Councilor Zambuto.
Here.
Here. And Council President Cogliandro.
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. Approval of the journal of the regular meeting of January 29th.
So moved.
Calendar item number 3.
Madam Clerk, may I ask the council, I'd like to take a suspension of rules. The election commissioner has business tonight, and he's in a kind of a time crunch, and I'd like to handle his business if nobody objects. Okay, suspension of rules, all in favor, all opposed?
Aye.
So ordered.
Calendar item number 25, communication from the election commissioner requesting approval of the warrant for March 5th, 2024 presidential primary.
Good evening, sir. Name and address, please.
Mr. President, members of the council, Paul Fahey, Election Commissioner. Thank you for taking me out of order. As you know, tomorrow is inclement weather, and we're trying to get as many mail-in ballots out to folks tonight as we can. The item before you is the warrant for the March 5th presidential primary. The only item I want to note briefly, and I've had a conversation with Councilor Argenzio about this, because there will be school that day, we've been working closely with this administration and the school department. I think we're fine. We're going to use a different entrance at the Hill School than we have used in the past. We're going to use what's called the stadium entrance. It's right next to the main entrance on Hill Street. We may explore that as a permanent entrance in the future. What's nice about it is it takes you directly into the cafeteria. You don't have to go through any other part of the school. We're going to work with the police department to have dedicated parking on Park Ave for that day. We're doing postcards to all the residents of Ward 4. We're going to do a robocall. We'll be putting out as much. I'll be doing some Revere TV PSAs next week as well. Otherwise, same polling locations as in the past. It's a regular election day for the presidential primary, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and I'd ask your approval of the warrant.
Thank you, sir. Any councilors wishing to speak? Hearing and seeing none. All right, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Thank you all.
Back to the regular order of business.
Calendar item number 3, motion presented by Councilor Guarino-Sawaya that the City Council award a certificate of commendation to Lisa Cutting, owner of Ocean View Kennel, for her dedication to the animals of our community. Lisa is always available when the police department calls for assistance in picking up stray dogs and even wildlife.
I'd like to say a few words first.
Hit that mic, the mic for her.
Okay. Ocean View Kennel was opened by Lisa's parents, Marion and Johnny, on November 5th, 2003. Later taken over by Lisa Cutting with the help of her kids, Morgan and Jay. Lisa worked with multiple cities, including Winthrop, Woburn, Malden, and Revere, providing aid for lost and homeless dogs. Not only does Lisa help save dogs, but has also helped with numerous wildlife. Farm animals, including baby raccoons, which I've witnessed, owls, ducks, rabbits, turtles, coyotes, goats, and birds. Lisa will go above and beyond to get the best care to any animal in need. She has taken time out of her busy schedule many times to personally transport animals to safe havens and vet facilities. Ocean View Kennel is much more than just a doggy kennel. Lisa and her staff at Ocean View Kennel take pride in providing the best service possible to all dogs that attend doggy daycare. Lisa calls them her kids. Over the last few years, Lisa has spent thousands of dollars out of pocket to ensure that every stray and homeless dog that comes in from the city is fully vetted before placed for adoption. As vet visits are anywhere between $200 and $400, this is not a responsibility that Lisa should have taken on her own, but she does. Lisa hardly asks for help, and she does it because it's needed. Ocean View Kennel is currently housing 8 homeless dogs, which all of those costs come out of Lisa's pocket with no hesitation. Each dog that lives there is treated like her own. New toys, warm blankets, food, treats, baths, and vet appointments. Lisa and her staff celebrate each dog's birthday with the birthday party and give the dogs in her care gifts each year, like she just did to my dog. I honestly can't say enough about this woman and her family and what they have done for the dogs and other animals in her care. She is a woman whose contribution to society needed to be recognized. Okay. This is a certificate of commendation from the city of Revere, Massachusetts. In gratitude and admiration for her remarkable dedication to rescuing dogs in need, finding forever homes, spreading awareness about the importance of adoption and responsible pet ownership, and selflessly going above and beyond to assist the Revere Police Department on animal-related calls, she has had a profound and positive impact on both the lives of these dogs and the families who have welcomed them into their homes. Special recognition is hereby accorded to Lisa Cutting and Ocean View Kennel. The certificate of commendation is presented by the City Council of the City of Revere, Massachusetts, on behalf of the citizens this 12th day of February in the year of our Lord, 2024, and of the independence of the United States of America, 247th.
Calendar item number 4, motion presented by Councilors Jaramillo and Haas that the City Council award a certificate of commendation to Carol A. Ty in recognition of her lifelong dedication to the City of Revere, its students, civic life, and public education throughout her career as a school teacher, union president, superintendent of public schools, and school committee woman. Ms. Ty has exhibited selfless and tireless devotion to the city's public education system and has built the foundation for educational and civic progress in the city.
We're gonna. Where we stand while we speak?
Actually, let's roll that chair right over.
Yeah. All right. Well, you'd be proud of me.
I would be.
I'm looking at the word of the day. Today's word is saudade. Okay? I think I pronounced it right. Saudade. Saudade. Which means to have a deep nostalgic and melancholic feeling, which I think we are all feeling today, as we recognize what has been, I think, is a lifetime of achievement in everything that you have done. Carol Ty, of course, has served to many. I think to Ira was probably her first student, right, Ira? Yeah. Oh, there you are, right? But has served as a school teacher to many, a deep mentor. I had the opportunity to sit with her on the school committee when I was the student representative at the time. And I got to say, I would not be at this dais today if it wasn't for Carol Ty, for her breaking so many ceilings on behalf of so many residents that have a different path to leadership. And so, you know, I'm just deeply honored to be here and to be able to recognize you and celebrate you in this way. So thank you so much, Ms. Ty.
Carol, as I've said before, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better champion and representative for the city of Revere and its residents. You were an educator for many years, a superintendent, a school committee member, but your toughest job was probably babysitting my father.
Yes.
And you've opened up so many doors for so many students and families, including mine. You kickstarted my love for writing back in the 90s when I was in your incredible advanced composition class. And the love you have for this city shines in everything you do, whether it's as a mentor or a simple thing like having a conversation on the phone. And I'm honored to call you a friend. And thank you for all you've done for this city and its residents.
All right. So here we have an acknowledgement of her lifelong dedication to the city of Revere, its student civic life, and public education throughout her career as a school teacher, union president, superintendent of schools, and school committee woman, wherein during her tenure she has exhibited selfless and tireless devotion to the city's public education system and has built the foundation for educational and civic progress in the city. Special recognition is hereby accorded to Carol A. Ty. This certificate of commendation is presented by the City Council of the City of Revere, Massachusetts, on behalf of its citizens. This 12th day of February in the year of our Lord 2024, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 247th. Hold it in the middle so everybody.
I would just like to say, oh my goodness. Oh, spectacular. Your mother must have told you to do that.
I wish. I didn't get these, I'm sorry.
No. Joking. His mother was one of my favorite students. So I know he comes from a good place. No, I have just been so lucky for the life I have been able to lead in Revere. You know, I was born in the hospital, but I was born in the house I still live in Beachmont. Beachmont, born and bred, and love Revere all the way and everything. And I can go right down the line for all of my connections with these people. Paul Argenzio, his mother, a World War II nurse. Boy, was she tough when any kid of mine went down to say, oh, I don't feel well. She'd say something like, is Miss Ty giving a test? giving a test today? Is that why you want to get out, get back upstairs and do it? And of course, she also had the sympathy, the love for all of the kids. Angela, I've known Angela since she was on the school committee for Immaculate. We were back and forth trying to do well for that school. The Janinos, how many times did I ride in your truck? On the Santa parade, that was my one piece to the parade, that there we were going down. And Bobby, yes, babysitting your father and dealing with all of you. And you, teaching you, a wonderful student as in his sophomore year, as he said in composition. It's been great. Juan Pablo, I had to give several lessons to, but he learned them, you know, and he was very good. Your mother was a star from the beginning. Sometimes she didn't know what a star she was. And I'm so happy that she and you have continued along that path. It's great. Michelle, a Revere High School grad. That's the first question I ask people when they're running. Did you graduate from Revere High School? Joanne, I've known Joanne since she was playing softball on a lot in Beachmont and running up and down there and doing all the things and all the years that she was teaching. Ira, I like to kid Ira, but Ira's wife was one of my favorite students. Ira was just one of my students. But I love him anyway, you know. Mark, I can remember how proud I was when Mark came back to the school committee and we knew that he had won a Bronze Star. And I said, this was the kid who went through Revere High School? And it shows how wonderful, what a wonderful basic education and milieu we have there. And he came back and he was so humble. I mean, I think if I won a Bronze Star, I'd be wearing it on my lapel every day. But Mark, and he's done wonderful things for the city. Tony, well, we don't always agree, Tony, but that's what makes horse racing, as my father would say. Yes. And the people in the front, you're the ones who make everything work well, so thank you. So thank you to all. Thank you to all of you who are out there, my former school committee, Jerry, all of you. This is a great place to be. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're the best, Bobby. That was a funny line.
All right, we're doing a group picture, it looks like.
There's no way I'm not taking a picture.
Oh, no.
No way.
Come on, get right up close.
No way I'm not taking a picture.
Mr. President,
Councilor Novoselsky?
we have a suspension of rules to bring up items 26 and 27 for the Director of Finance.
On the suspension of rules, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered. Rules are suspended.
Calendar item number 26, communication from the Chief Financial Officer requesting a public hearing on an emergency loan order in the amount of $3 million for the Oak Island MBTA Railroad Crossing Project, CWSRF number 18903.
Good evening, sir. Name and address, please.
Good evening, Richard Viskey, CFO, 281 Broadway. Thank you for taking me out of order. This is a emergency repair for water mains down at Oak Island. This requires us to go underneath the railroad tracks, which is causing the emergency in nature, and I know this is going to be to a public hearing, but happy to try to answer any questions on the financing. We do have the city engineer with us here if there's any questions on the particular project itself, but here to answer any questions on the bond and any other financing questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any councilors wishing to speak? Hearing and seeing none, this is going to a public hearing on February 26th.
Calendar item number 27, communication from the Chief Financial Officer requesting approval of a resolution relative to the lead service line inventory and replacement program.
Hello, Rich Fiskey, 281 Broadway. This is actually a grant application that we need a resolution from the city council to then apply for this grant. This grant will be a fully reimbursable grant for us to do an inventory of all the lead pipe in the city of Revere, and that is a requirement of the Massachusetts DEP. Again, it's a grant-funded program through the Clean Water Trust Act, so an acceptance of the resolution will allow us to access those dollars to complete that work, and happy to answer any questions on that, and Nick can answer any on the particular merits of the program itself.
Thank you, sir. Councilor McKenna?
Thank you. Rich, does this have anything to do with the lead service line inventory that's going to affect Winthrop Ave?
I'm going to defer that to the city engineer to speak
Okay.
on that. Thank you.
Any other, sorry. Name and address for the record, sir.
Good evening. Nick Rystrom, City Engineer, 319 Charger Street. Councilor, it would involve any lead within the city. The EPA has modified their requirements for lead and copper rule compliance, and so this would be to provide support to comply with the new rules that they have instituted. It's really to inventory the whole city so that then we can make plans to remove any lead that we, essentially come across.
Right, so I have a problem because Winthrop Ave is a mess. So isn't Webster Street and Summer Street. And we were supposed to get it paved in May. Now they moved it up because they had to do the gas. So now I don't even know if it's ever going to get paved, because now we have to go through the lead service line inventory and see how many houses are affected from Toretta's to all the way down to Short Beach. So what are we looking at? I mean, are we looking at another year to pave Winthrop Ave? You can't even go up it now. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I heard it's going to be stalled now until late August, maybe into fall, and it was supposed to be done soon.
So we can talk, I can talk with our pavement coordinator about what we can do in the interim. This program will be to determine an inventory for the entire city. It will include Winthrop Ave. It needs to be executed by October of '24. The construction related to what is discovered will be ongoing after that. So, let's say we, encounter X amount of lead services, then we have to make a plan to remove all of those. So it could be a year after that, it could be 2 years after that. We don't really know until we get through the inventory. It may delay it if some of this work is further out. Maybe there's an opportunity to do some paving in the interim. I think it's something we could certainly look at.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Argenzia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Rystrom, we've been replacing lead lines for several years now. I thought we had a pretty accurate inventory of homes that still had lead services in them.
So we had a good inventory of lead services from the shutoff valve or the curb stop to the house. We were able to see a lot of what was lead when we replaced the meters just about 10 years ago. What we don't have information on is what is from the shutoff to the main line.
Okay.
And that is a lot of what the EPA is looking for us to categorize.
And how was that survey conducted? Age
So
of the home? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's a variation of things. You have age of the house, you have any tie cards that we have on file, and then there will be, in some cases, physical investigation, which would require test pit to physically determine what it is. So it's going to be to the use of all the tools in our toolbox to try to identify, what is lead, where is it, and how can we make a plan to systematically remove it from the system.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors wishing to speak? Seeing and hearing none. We're going to take all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Mr. President, can I request a suspension of rules?
We're already under suspension. Go ahead. Which item?
I'd like to take calendar item number 3424-072 out of order, as Ms. Sosha is here, and I believe she might want to speak on this issue.
Calendar item number 34, motion presented by Councilors Kelly and Janino, that the mayor be requested to take by eminent domain Lot 131 at 71 Sherman Street, map block and parcel 29-433C6, as a matter of public safety.
Counselor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've reviewed this file, and I've talked to Ms. Sosha since June. The only way I can refer to this as a parcel that was erroneously or mistakenly transferred by the city to a private individual, which therein negatively impacted Ms. Sosha's property. I think she's spoken to all of the counselors here. I think almost all of the counselors have gone down and viewed the property. Basically, this is an area of, we're at 63 Sherman Street, where Shirtliff and Sherman Street intersect. The first half of Shirtliff Street is about 25 feet wide, and then when it becomes in front of Ms. Sosha's driveway, the street narrows to 15 feet wide, because that 10 feet or so width of public sidewalk and street was, as I said, erroneously transferred by the city. Supposedly, this was done in an auction back in 2003. And so what we'd like to do is try to give Ms. Sosha some relief so that she can get in and out of her driveway, so that a fire apparatus can go down the street, because right now there seems to be some code violations in play regarding ambulances or, fire apparatuses even being able to get down. Right now, trucks can't make the turn. So we need to kind of right this wrong, and so I'm asking that we take a vote on this tonight and try to see what relief we can give Ms. Sosha in reversing this erroneous transfer. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Janino.
I went down to Sherman Street quite a bit in the last couple of weeks between the flooding and what have you, and I met Emily down there and her situation with the driveway and the street being taken over, and I was kind of amazed when I saw a fence in the middle of the street. I took the corner and I'm saying, how would a fire truck get down here if there's an emergency over Malden and Revere coming one way or the other? And I spoke with Emily, I spoke with the neighbors over there, and something has to be done. It has to be rectified, and the street should go back to the way it was. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you,
Mr.
Counselor. Counselor Silvestri.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too have been visited with Mrs. Sosha over and over again, and I got the same response as Counselor Janino and Kelly. And then when I seen the amount that this piece of property was sold for, it blew my mind even more. And then if you read further through the agreement, there was supposed to be no structures placed on there, and then that was broken. And I gotta say, totally surprised that it ever happened and was allowed. I get it, it's a paper street, so-called, or whatnot, but it's definitely a danger issue for her house. And I get that there's now new residents living in the home that purchased that, and the buyer of the property is no longer there. And I don't want to impact anyone, but that was a bad deal that was done. And there was no fence that was supposed to be put up, and I think that at least the fence needs to come down. The street needs to be wide enough to get a fire engine down there, a plow, an ambulance, and right now, you can barely get a car. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Novoselsky?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm aware of this situation, and I've been up there many, many times. Back in 2003, it was brought to the council that this was not a street. It was 2 lots of city land that people just happened to use as access points to go from Malden into Revere and use it as a shortcut to get over to Washington Ave and avoid the lights. And I have no problem reversing this, but I'm concerned about how much it's going to cost. We're taking it by eminent domain. I understand that the owner mentioned $45,000 for that piece of property. It's a couple thousand square feet, I believe. 1,600. And I believe the other lot next to it is 1,600. Now, I'd like to know how much it's going to cost, not only for, potentially for the eminent domain proceedings, but who's going to take down the fence, who's going to put it back on this new owner's property. And it's my understanding that even part of Mr. and Mrs. Socha's property have extended their property out onto this property. So I would ask that to make sure that before anything happens, that both pieces of property be surveyed and that new lot lines be established, the lot lines be established, not new ones, but what the original lot lines were, and that everything be brought back to normal so that particular street can be brought back to the maximum width that it can be. So that's my thing, and I would like to hear from the Superintendent of Public Works and the city engineer, of course, and also the Department of Community Planning to see, and because we're going to have to pave it too. So it's costing us not only for eminent domain money, it's costing us for repaving the street from on the Revere side. So I would like to see what the cost would be on something like that, and have a better idea of what it's going to cost the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is obviously going to be going to zoning. I know my colleague wanted to vote on this tonight. I don't know what she can vote on tonight. We need, as my colleague to the right said, we need to explore the cost and how we're going to do this, how we're going to reverse it. I'm in favor of reversing it, but and I don't know how the heck this ever happened. But the bottom line is there's a procedure we're going to have to follow, and that's to take it step by step. So I would recommend it goes to zoning, and then it's probably going to go to Ways and Means after that. So, and maybe it's a joint committee of zoning and Ways and Means. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? Yeah. Counselor Kelly.
I'd like to respond to that. I believe this can be voted on tonight. There was, I don't want to get into the whole file here and read all of the documentation that I have, but there was a question back when this was done in 2003, whether the city had title to the property. It raised substantial questions about the city's ability to convey the land back then. I have questions about the auction that took place. There's a letter in here from Paul Capizzi subsequently deeming that, in his legal opinion, it was a public way. However, the city also sent in 2006 a release to the then owners of the property, Paul and Charlene DePlatzi. I don't know why a release would have been sent if there was no issue or question being raised about the transfer, and yet there was. So I think with this inch big, the file that I have here, the research is already done, has already been done. I don't think that any more research into this needs to be conducted. I think this can be voted out tonight. I understand that it might cause the city an expense. However, it was a mistake. It was erroneously transferred, in my opinion. It caused harm, it's causing a public safety risk, and we're going to have to right the wrong. And if that comes at a cost, we're going to have to suffer the consequences, but at least we know that we're righting a wrong. And so I ask that we vote on this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I spoke with Mr. Sosha, and I spoke with Nicholas Rystrom today, and he went back to 1932, and Shirtlift Street dead ends at the Malden line. And those were two empty lots, two parcels that I believe people just started driving through. So I have no problem making it a road, but I don't, according to his records, it was never a road. People certainly used it as a road. I went and looked over the fence. I don't see any structures in this person's yard. I read the agreement, and the reason the fence was put up, that was a stipulation that the city put in, that once it was sold, they were required to put up a fence. So I understand, and we certainly want to help Mrs. Sosha, but I think Ira Novoselsky's, Councilor Novoselsky's view on this is correct. We should look to see what the legalities are. Can we just turn this back into a road or make it a road officially, and what the cost is? So I think we should wait a little while and see what the legalities of this are.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Zambudo.
Yeah, I don't want to prolong this, but I mean, we don't vote on things without knowing the cost of it up here, and I don't want to set a precedent to do that. We do want to correct this wrong, but there is a process, and it's the legal process. It's the, how we're going to do this legally, financially, and make everybody whole. But it's a process, and it's not something that I think we can vote on at this time. Thank you.
Mr. President.
One moment, everyone. Okay, we've had enough conversation. Let's talk about what we're going to do moving forward with this motion. Does somebody want to put a motion on the floor?
Hold on, Mr. President.
About how this is, where we're going to go forward with?
I'd like to put a
I
motion.
thought I already
Mr.
did when I
President,
said I wanted to send it to
Mr.
zoning.
President, I'd like to just ask a question. If
Councilor
this-
Jaramillo.
Why this would, if it would go anywhere, which is questionable whether it would, why it would go to zoning and not to planning? Feels like if it would go to anywhere.
You're going to make a street.
If
It
it would
could go to
anywhere, right.
both.
Where would it go?
Could go to both.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Motion to send to zoning, and maybe if you feel a joint motion with, a joint committee with Ways and Means.
The motion on the floor is to send this to the zoning subcommittee initially. Madam Clerk, take a roll. So you want a joint zoning and Ways and Means?
It's up to you, you're the president. I know it should go to
It's your
zoning.
motion, Counselor, so I'm
Okay.
just trying to word it correctly. Okay. So if you would
can't
like,
vote on this
excuse me,
tonight.
everybody. If you would like to put a motion on the floor, you need to be clear and state that I'd like to put a motion on the floor to take a roll call. I'd like to motion that we go to subcommittee.
Excuse me, Mr. President, but I did state a couple of times, I believe, that I wanted to take a vote on this tonight.
Then you should ask for a roll call.
I would like a roll call on this tonight.
Okay. So we have to take.
So I need clarification.
Okay, I'm gonna clarify right now.
Okay, I'm going to make a substitute motion that we send it to zoning.
Okay, so we have a roll call to see if we take a roll call. Or is it the roll call? What's the procedure, ma'am?
This is going to be a substitute motion.
Okay.
Counselor Zambudo's motion is a substitute motion. The original motion is Counselor Kelly's motion to take that matter up right now.
Correct.
So the substitute motion goes first. Depending on the outcome of that, then we move on to Counselor Kelly's motion.
Okay.
Okay?
So we're going to vote on the Counselor Zambudo's substitute motion first.
On Counselor Zambudo's substitute motion to send this to a joint committee of zoning and Ways and Means, Counselor Argenzio.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Janino.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Guarino Sawaya.
No.
No, Counselor Haas.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Jaramillo.
No.
No, Counselor Kelly.
No.
No, Counselor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Novoselsky. Yes. Counselor Silvestri?
No.
No. Counselor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes, the substitute motion prevails. This is being sent to Zoning and Ways and Means Joint Committee.
Back to a normal order of business.
Unfinished business, calendar item number 5, petition by National Grid and Verizon to install a jointly owned pole on Winthrop Avenue near Revere Beach Parkway in accordance with the plan on file.
Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
Jose Luis Azerdia, 170 Medford Street, Malden. Good evening, Council President, Council members. In this case, National Grid is requesting to install a new infill pole between two existing poles to accommodate the installation of a feeder monitor device, which will serve National Grid to monitor any outages in the area or irregularities on the primary lines that may be affected. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any councilors wish to speak on this? All in favor? My apologies. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you. I just want to say that I'm in favor of this. I looked at it, and I'm in favor of it, so, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors?
Motion to approve.
All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Next up is the Zoning Subcommittee report.
Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have two items. The first one quickly is number 23-263, Nicholas Jacoby, 164 Harris Street. I have a letter in front of me with a request from the attorney to withdraw it without prejudice. We'll take a vote on that, please.
Shall the city council allow the, I'm sorry?
Can that be a voice vote, or does that have to be a roll call?
It's up to the city council.
Voice vote's fine, I think.
They're asking for a roll call.
This
Yeah.
is the withdrawal for,
Shall the city council allow the petitioner to withdraw the application without prejudice? Councilor Argenzio? Yes. Yes. Councilor Janino? Yes. Councilor Guarino Sawaya? Yes. Yes. Councilor Haas?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Jaramillo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Kelly is absent. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Silvestri is absent. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes, the application has been withdrawn without prejudice.
Next item up is 24029 Parkway Homes, LLC. This was voted out favorably from the subcommittee with some amendments. I would ask the clerk to read the amendments before the roll call.
The zoning subcommittee unanimously offered a favorable recommendation to amend item 21 of the proposed PUD conditions as submitted by the Project Review Board. The new language for item 21 was as follows. The developer shall be committed to providing 25 affordable housing units within the development. The 25 affordable housing units shall contain a mix of 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, and studio units. The 25 affordable housing units shall be reserved for veterans and seniors, and 70% of the 25 affordable housing units shall be given local preference for Revere residents.
Roll call.
Shall the City Council grant the relief requested subject to the amended Project Review Board conditions? Councilor Argenzio?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Haas?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Jaramillo?
I have a point of personal privilege here.
We're in the middle.
Oh. Yes.
Yes. Councilor Kelly?
No.
No. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes, the PUD and special permit have been granted. Next up is the Appointments Subcommittee report.
Suspension of rules in the hopes it won't prevail.
All in favor? All opposed?
On the suspension?
On the suspension? Yep, that was for suspension, now the reconsideration. All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
That's right.
Regular order of business.
Reconsideration to kill it.
Next up is the Appointments Subcommittee report.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we had 15 new appointees. 2 got tabled, Derek Martinez of the Public Arts Commission and Anne Marie Fury of the Commissions of Disability. Both contacted the chairwoman. We had 32 reappointments. We voted them out favorably, but we had a concern with a couple of councilors raised about the appointee conflict of interest on the zoning board for Peggy Pratt. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for a roll call from the body.
So you're asking for Ms. Pratt separately?
Yes. We're doing, yes. Thank you. So you want to start with the new appointees first? Okay, all right. That's fine with me.
Shall the City Council confirm the appointment of Peggy Pratt as an alternate member to the Zoning Board of Appeals? Counselor Argenzio?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Haas?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Jaramillo?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Kelly?
Present.
Voting present, Counselor McKenna?
No.
No. Counselor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Zambudo? Is absent? And Council President Cogliandro?
No.
No, the appointment has been confirmed.
So we're going to take up the 15 new appointees. Do I have to name them? Okay. Okay, I'd like to vote on my report as a whole.
Shall the City Council confirm the appointments as reported by Chairwoman McKenna? Counselor Argenzio?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Haas?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Jaramillo?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Zambudo? Is absent. And Council President Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes, the Appointments Committee report has been confirmed, has been approved.
Congratulations, everybody. If you were here waiting, you've been approved.
Next up is calendar item number 28, communication from the Revere High School Student Senate requesting time to provide the City Council with the current state and needs of students at Revere High School.
I'd like to welcome the Revere High School Senate. They're going to be giving us a presentation today. I'm very excited for this. We are doing our part to bridge the generational gap and really get the needs of the students before the council.
Am I good? Introduce myself.
All right. Matthew Terrell, 215 Crescent Ave. I'm also serving as the chair of the Revere High Student Senate. So when Council President Cogliandro first came to me over this, I was pretty much ecstatic, being able to get what we've been doing in the community and the school community particularly, and be able to kind of voice our concerns and kind of what we've been doing. So the first time I wanted to come up here, I think it's safe to just do an introduction to RHS Student Senate. So I put together a little bit of a slideshow just to kind of show everyone who we are. So we're the Revere High School Student Senate. Who we are. We are 40 passionate students representing RHS diverse population. We fight for the student voice, and we fight for all things students, and we're working to create a better community. Just to put some names to faces, the chair, which is kind of, I run the meetings, I act as a spokesperson for the Student Senate, Matthew Terrell. Our vice chair, she's a junior, Erta Ismili. She pretty much is my number 2. Anytime I'm too busy with something or really anything, she's right there. And then our clerk, Endurance NK, she works just kind of keeping our minutes in order, our agendas and stuff like that. And then we're also very lucky to be working with our Revere High School student representatives to the school committee, senior Raihan Ahmed and junior Salsabil Mendoza. They act as the student representatives on the Revere Public School Committee. They sit in on meetings. The senior representative is able to make motions on the school committee. So kind of going over what our meetings are like, they occur mostly on the district-wide half-days where we have committee collaborations and share-outs. We work with the administration in the building, and we vote on new ideas and initiatives that we want to kind of pursue. So we also, like the City Council, have subcommittees that work on specific things, so I'm going to just take some time to introduce them. First, we have Student Engagement and School Spirit. It sounds like a fun committee, it really is. Really, they work on looking at the building, how to make it a better space, and also just elevating student voice in general. They have worked on Student Senate Star, which is our monthly page in the Revere Journal that you might see, connecting with the community through our social media page. They run an RHS feedback form, which is just a Google form where teachers, students, parents can really just kind of comment on anything they've been wondering about the school, and we do our best to get back to them and kind of answer any questions they have. And then also over the summer, the Student Engagement Committee painted some murals on the 3rd floor of the Revere High School, just kind of school beautification projects. Number 2 is school scheduling. They work within the school schedule to create better and inclusive opportunities for all students. They had a bit of a slow start last year with kind of trouble getting responses to emails, but they've really taken off. They've started an American Sign Language Club at Revere High School, and then also on half days during the high school's 4th period, they take our Writing Center and STEM Center, which is student-run mentorship programs that are usually available to high school students whenever they need help in English or math. And they bring those fellows over to the Rumney Marsh, and they tutor students over there. And then also, as of last month, as both the high school and the middle school are going back to an honors program, we're working closely with the administration to kind of make sure that's the most equitable and kind of smooth transition back into honors. And then student staff communications. This committee is working to provide connections throughout the RHS body through staff feedback collection, journalistic production, and developments of communication strategies. This is a new committee this year. Last year it was made up of student staff relations, which was kind of really focused on bridging the gap that we found between students and staff. But really this year we wanted to focus on kind of outward and more into the community. Right now, we're supporting the revival of the RHS Weekly Voice, which is an intra-school kind of like talk show, kind of, as well as publishing the RHS Patriot Voice, which is our eternal school-based newspaper. Also creating videos to educate the community about the new Revere High School, which some of you may have seen. And then also, this committee was in charge of all the election interviews we did over election season, where we sat down with many of you and just kind of inform the community a bit better on who they're electing. And then lastly is our mental health committee. They work to ensure that the mental health needs of RHS are met and providing resources. They've done Instagram posts supporting mental health awareness, updating classroom stress less boxes. Pretty much those are just boxes that are given out to different teachers with different mental health supplies, whether it be stress balls or just different activities to kind of help teachers with dealing with mental health with their students, as well as right now they're working on a comprehensive mental health resource site. So we have so many great untapped resources in the high school, such as the MGH Youth Center or the BRIT partnership that we do, but there's so many students that just don't know anything or how to get to these kind of resources. So we're trying to create one site that they can look at and really be able to see it all there. And then just to touch on our committee, school committee student representatives, they cooperate with the Student Senate to represent student interests externally and on the school committee and state level. So Salsabil and Raihan, what we've done with them, they work with the Massachusetts Association of Student Reps, which is a statewide organization that works with all student representatives from all districts, whether it be college, high school, what have you, and they coordinate efforts to kind of elevate student voice and student involvement in their own communities. Just in the last couple months, we went to the State House twice, one for House Resolution 474, which would add more student reps and also allow them to be voting on school committees, as well as House Bill 4199, which would expand financial literacy education as a requirement in all Massachusetts high schools. Right now, Revere is one of 17 districts in the state that requires a standalone financial literacy class. As well as right now, they're working on Respire, which is a project that they're looking to see what we can do with our own policies to lessen e-cigarette use in the schools. As well as right now, they're looking at framework on providing students with CPR and first aid certification in the schools. And that's a lot of what they've been doing recently. Just kind of a highlight, Student Senate Star, it's posted the last week of every month in the Revere Journal. It allows students to kind of put in op-eds, poetry, art, opinion pieces, whatever, and it just allows students to get published work in a real newspaper. It looks great on college recommendations, but it also just lets kids get more comfortable in elevating their own voice and their own experience into a larger community. All our editions are on our social media, and also the next edition is out on the 28th of February. And then I just wanted to include some kind of pictures to just kind of show what we've been doing and give a visual representation. Right at the bottom left is when we went to the State House. We were lucky enough to get a picture in front of the, I'm blanking on the podium. I'm going to use podium. Podium where JFK gave a speech back in, I'm going to say, 1960-something. Not great with the dates. Yeah, it's close. And then in the middle of the bottom, it's one of our murals that we painted over the last year. And then also on the bottom right, that is our senior student rep, Raihan Ahmed, and that was while he was testifying to the House Committee on Education about the financial literacy bill. And then that's just a screenshot up top from our march last March. But this is how you can contact us at rhs.studentsenate on Instagram, RHS Student Senate on Facebook, and then we can also provide this slideshow to all of you. It has some links on some other ways to get involved with us. And that's the end of my presentation, but I would love to kind of hear from any counselors that want to ask any questions or really anything. Sorry.
Great job.
Thank you.
I'm going to open it up to counselors. Counselor Silvestri.
Thank you, Mr. President. Matthew, if you were nervous, my friend, I'd hate to see you cool and collected, all right? I want to commend you, and I want to commend you for a lot of things. One, as a student athlete, and coming out and being a leader. As a student athlete when I was in high school, I'm not sure I would have been invested in student senate and things like that. So I commend you for that. I commend you for your bravery for stepping out and taking on leadership roles such as this. Counselor Cogliandro and myself have talked it over, and we would like to even talk with you further and maybe working out a internship with the city council for, what's the word I'm looking for?
Just to learn the process.
Yeah, learn the process, but also as a, never mind. But the word is out of my mind right now, but like I said, I want to commend you for coming up here and really being a leader for the high school and not, I guess, falling to pressure. Good job,
Thank you,
man.
Counselor. Thank you. And I just couldn't do it without everyone else behind me, especially in all my other members of the Student Senate, but as well as many people in the community that have kind of rallied behind us.
Community service.
Counselor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Matthew, I know you're here, but you're here representing all your members of your committee and also the high school students. And I am so intrigued about everything that you've shown us that you're doing and what the committee is doing and the high school is doing. One thing that really got me was you mentioned about signing and sign language.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to get that up here for several years. And I was wondering if it works out between, your committee and the council president and a few others, that we get your folks that can sign to come up here and either we'll pay them or have them volunteer their time to do signing for our meetings up here. And I've spoken to Revere TV, and they could set up a separate television on the side of the room, and so that person can do their signing, and it would be an insert on the TV. And I just think it's amazing what your kids are doing, and that you're getting so involved at a young age to get into politics. And it's really great. We had some politics way back when Ms. Ty and I were in high school. But that was, we had class representatives. And we got the class, presidents for each grade. But this is far beyond that. And I think it's great, and I wish you guys a lot of, and gals, of course, have a lot of luck in proceeding with everything that you do, and things work out for you, and it's for the better of the city.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, originally with the scheduling committee, they wanted to be able to integrate American Sign Language as part of the foreign language curriculum, where it would be kind of similar to when students choose to pick Spanish, Italian, or French. And there's definitely a lot more that has to go into that right now, but I feel like moving forward, that's something that we should really focus on.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Jaramillo.
Matthew, thank you. Mr. President, thank you for allowing this space. Really appreciate your work, Matthew. I was once a school committee representative on the school committee, and I sat next to Carol Ty, of course. And I started my advocacy work as a youth organizer down the Shirley Ave neighborhood, so I really appreciate everything that you've been doing and your team has been doing too. Fight for the city that you want, right? And I encourage you to continue on even after you graduate. I know you're nearing the end of your high school tenure here, but really, I trust that the foundation you've laid and your team has laid will yield more and more young leaders, of course. And so really just wanted to commend you for your work and thank you for your service to the city.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Hess.
Thank you, Mr. President. Matthew, I just wanted to thank you, Rayhan, and the Student Senate for your involvement and for caring so much. Counselor Silvestri and I were probably at the high school the same time, I believe, a year off maybe, but I'd say high school students have come a long, long way since we've been there.
I'd like to direct that question to Ms. Ty.
But I remember sitting outside with you, doing an interview with you and Rayhan, and I couldn't believe how professional you guys were and the leadership you both and the entire Senate have shown this entire process, and since I've been involved, has truly been inspiring. So I just want to say keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Garino-Sawaya.
Hi, Matthew. All I want to say is that you are such a great role model to all the students at the high school, as well as the students that are coming up from the middle school. You're just an advocate for everybody, and you should be really proud of the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Permission to speak from the chair? Thank you all. Matthew, I knew this was the right move, and that's why I was excited to have you up here, and this is something that I wanted to do for a while. I've always talked about bridging the gaps between the young and the old and everybody in between, and I have a lot of students myself, but none of them want to talk politics with me. So it's kind of refreshing, and you know, as a teacher, I look forward to learning from you. So we're going to talk about the next time you're going to come up here, and looking forward to it. Thank you so much. You did an excellent job tonight.
Thank you, and I'd just like to, one more time, thank the council for letting me speak today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Place on file.
Motions, calendar item number 29, motion presented by Councilor Jaramillo, that the City Council President be requested to establish a Climate, Sustainability, and Workforce Subcommittee. The purpose of this subcommittee will be to focus on any motion or ordinance change proposals relative to short and long-term effects of climate change, the solutions needed to address climate change from a systemic approach, from climate resiliency to the energy transition, and the important role that workers play in the development and sustainability of our city as a whole, and in the just transition toward a greener future.
Councilor Jaramillo.
Mr. President, thank you so much for your time here. And I know we've talked a little bit about this motion, and it was at your request that we filed it, because I think it's an opportunity for our city to take a leap into the 21st century and have a conversation about the very real needs of our residents and our homeowners. It's no surprise to anybody that rising climate change is creating catastrophic effects around the globe, and we will not be any different as a coastal community. In fact, we are already not any different. What we used to call 100-year storms are happening every 20 years or so. Flooding is happening in our basements. Just less than 10 years ago, there was fish on Pearl Ave and basements on Pearl Ave, if folks remember that. But the climate crisis needs to be tackled both at the city level, state, and the national level. And we must do our part in the way that we do business all throughout, from the way that we build, to the way that we dispose of things, to the energy we consume and how we consume it. And only if we play our role as one of the 351 cities and towns in the Commonwealth will we have a chance to meet the carbon emission goals that the state is already behind in meeting, to meet the climate resiliency and sustainability standards that our residents deserve to preserve their home equity, to preserve their homes, their livelihood. And so I think this is such an important opportunity for us to have more and more conversations about the urgent need to tackle the crisis, especially when we know that this crisis can only be tackled by workers, by the people at home that get up every day at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and they're on a job site. And the important role that they play in that transition to a cleaner and greener future, to ensure that they're getting the wages they deserve and the benefits they deserve. We cannot do one and then the other. We must do them both at the same time. And so this committee, hopefully established after today, will give us the opportunity to find the solutions as a city council, as a city, to tackle the crisis both from the crisis point and the worker perspective. Most of us, we have prided ourselves for being a working class city. And so if we are going to make a just transition to save our homes, to save our ecosystem, to save, and to there is a real opportunity here to make money for our city and bring in revenue in the just transition. We need to have the space to have those conversations. I find that really most everything should go through a committee process so that we can have more robust conversations. You know, I have so much fun with my friends here on the council that I just can't see enough of you, and we should have really more in-depth conversations about every little thing that we do, because I think it merits, and it's not just for us. It's not just so that we can hear ourselves speak, but it's because we want to encourage, particularly our young people like Matt, to come up here and to have a line of young folks that goes down the stairs and feel like they're heard, and that we have the space to do it. That we're not just limited to the conversations that happen here bi-weekly on a Monday evening, but that we're actually allowing those subcommittee spaces, which is subcommittee spaces that exist for a reason, to talk about the critical needs that our city has. And so with that, Mr. President, and hopefully this is all but ceremonious, I call that we motion that this motion is taken up and passed.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Silvestri.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think this is a great motion. I think it's a much-needed and long overdue board here in the city as a coastal environment. I think we need to take this head on, and I support it 100%.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the last 4 days, I've been down Pearl Ave. Pearl Ave is inundated with water. Not even the weathermen said that we were going to get high tides Thursday and Friday. People are losing cars. Foundations are falling apart. I think this is a wonderful committee, but it's like pulling teeth with the hierarchy. We went to, I don't even know when it was, May, to talk to Catherine Clark's aides for the seawall. We haven't heard anything. That was May. These people are going to lose their houses because the legislative committee, Congress, is not listening to us. They're not watching. We have a congresswoman that lives in Beachmont, and I don't even know if she knows what's going on on Pearl Ave, on Riverside, on Belle Isle Ave. Belle Isle Ave, we had to get 100 sandbags to put on a property so that they wouldn't lose their garage. It's just coming up. The marsh is just overflowing. I've never seen this in all the years that I've been here. But the marsh is coming up. It's like waterfront property now. And Pearl Ave is getting inundated with the coastal storm waves coming in and the marsh water coming in and flooding their houses. And they're going to lose their foundation. They're going to lose their houses. And there's not going to be any more houses on Pearl Ave, I'd say, in the next 7 years. We got to do something now. We can't wait another 2 years. We can't wait another year. We have to do something now. So you, Councilor Jaramillo, Juan, my student, listen, I think this is a wonderful idea, and I think between the committee that you pick, we need to act now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. And permission to speak from the chair. So this is solely the decision of the whoever the council president is. So we are going to be creating this. And we, in speaking with Councilor Jaramillo, obviously he'll be the chairperson, the chairman, along with the wards 1, 2, and 5 councilors, because they have the coastal area of the city, and as well as Councilor Silvestri. Thank you. Councilor Guarino-Sawaya.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to echo what my fellow councilor Joanne McKenna said. I also am a councilor in a coastal zone, and I have never seen the water come up as fast as it has. Past 3 days, we haven't even had a high storm big storms or anything like that, and the water has come up and over on Riverside every single day this week. I'm petrified of what's going to happen tomorrow. The Point of Pines has never experienced storm surge as it has. In Riverside, it goes all the way up the streets. Oak Island is inundated with water. It's completely flooded as well. So we need to act now. We can't wait. And thank you so much, Councilor Yaramillo, for doing this. Can we amend this to add coastal resiliency as well as a word, the wordage?
So I think we have something here, and we can.
Just add the word coastal.
I'll work with the climate resiliency we have, which, does that work?
What is it?
Climate resiliency, it says.
Okay, that's
okay?
fine. No, that's fine. Thank you.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you. I just want the public to know, especially the people that live near the coast, that the MBTA down in Wonderland is giving out, they're going to have free parking down there, so if you want to park your car, and I think maybe we should get Mayor Keefe to extend the parking down there instead of one night, because the tides are going to be really high tomorrow. They're going to be extremely high, historically high, because there's a new moon. So so I would ask Mayor Keefe, if you're listening, if you're downstairs in your office, and then you're listening, to extend this for a couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors wishing to speak? Yes, Mr. DeVoe. Good evening. Name and address for the record, sir.
Edward DeVoe, 216 Crescent Ave. I came here to speak in support of the motion. I'm glad to see that you're all in favor of it. One of the things that I was hoping that this will do, and I've had many conversations with Juan and Bob and Mark Silvestri about the issues related to climate and the resiliency in the coast, and in particular with a long-standing issue that we've had in Beachmont regarding the seawall. Joanne brought up, Councilor McKenna, brought up the issue about the seawall. And I don't know how many people know, but when we talk about this sort of thing, what I'm looking for and hoping will come out of this is now a systemic process that's going to allow us to create a collective of one voice that's going to get things done, as Councilor McKenna asked. We need to get things done now. The problem that we've had at this point is that, and as I had in my notes, is that we've had many conversations with many people. We've talked to both of our state representatives. We've talked with, and Councilor McKenna had set up a meeting with Representative Clark from Washington, D.C. We've even spoken at the Mass Beaches Commission to try and get the DCR commissioner to respond to the issue, and have had countless conversations with the DCR. And all of this has not been within 1 year. Frankly, this has been lasting for 9 years. And when you have a situation like this that lasts for 9 years, there's a problem with the process. And I commend Councilor Jaramillo for what he's doing. We've had conversations. He told me he had this in mind, and I applaud it wholeheartedly. And I'm hoping that through this process, that community issues such as the seawall, this seawall has been in drastic need of repair. They did a huge project on Winthrop Shore Drive that came all the way up to Short Beach, stopped at Short Beach, and then they did a project along the seawall along Broadsound Ave a number of years ago and stopped at the floodgates. The area that needs the work the most has yet to be touched. We've taken pictures of it. We've shown people. The wall is literally moving away from the sidewalk. And if you look at it from the ocean side, you wonder how the hell it's still standing. But yet, all of these conversations that we've had with people, nothing is happening. And the really important part of this is, all we've asked for at this point, we didn't say we want to build the wall or repair the wall unless it needs it. What we've asked for, and still have not gotten, was an assessment. How bad is the wall? We can't even get that answer. And then secondly, if the wall were to collapse, what's the impact? That is the only access from Winthrop to Revere, and one of the only exits from Beachmont for members of Beachmont. If that wall collapsed, Nobody can get out of Winthrop unless they go through East Boston and Bennington Street. So I'm happy to see this. I want to, and I'm glad to hear you doing it. I hope that this wall issue amongst the other issues, we've got Pearl Ave and so forth, but these things have been lasting for too long. We need to do something now, and I'm hoping, that this committee will give us voice that we need to get somebody at the State House and the federal government to get things done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record.
My name is Anthony Cantino. I live at 240 Suffolk Avenue, Revere. My government of the United States, with collaboration of governments around the world, last week, the first milestone in fusion energy. They were able to create a process for 9 seconds. Within 15 years, they say, I believe, the scientists will have fusion energy in 15 years, stepping stone to cheap, renewable energy, non-pollutant, okay? So as far as my government and as far as the governments around the world are doing about energy, fusion energy, they are now having milestones in the process, okay? And that is the energy of the future. Today, all they're doing is selling electric cars, pollutant cars. By 2035, most of the states will not allow gasoline guzzlers around. Yes, you have a problem. We all have a problem along our coasters. But, we've been using garbage energy for centuries. Now we're paying for it. It's going to be time to correct it. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President.
Councilor Jaramillo.
We want to have in that subcommittee, because you're right. Fusion has been here 10 years for the past 50 years, and I think we are actually much closer to fusion than we are. No, I commend you, because that. I know.
Sir, I'm sorry.
But these are the solutions that we need to find and we need to be at the cutting edge of. And so, Mr. President, again, thank you again for I've taken up way too much space now, but I really appreciate it.
No problem. All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 30, motion presented by Council President Cogliandro that the mayor request the Chief of Planning and Community Development to investigate the feasibility of creating a pocket park, walking path with lighting and/or trees using city property located at the corner of East Mountain Avenue and School Street.
Permission to speak from the chair. So this is just an idea. This is a big open space in that neighborhood, and I wanted to send this to Planning and Development to see what ideas they could come up with, and then bring those ideas to the neighborhood and see how the residents feel about them. That's all. Thank you. Any other councilors wishing to speak? All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 31, motion presented by Council President Cogliandro that the mayor request the DPW to install bike racks at City Hall for residents and employees who commute for work or business. The availability of bike racks would decrease the number of vehicles on the road and parked in the City Hall lot.
Speaks for itself. Councilor Guarino-Sawaya.
I love this motion. This is a great motion by the council president. As public bicycle racks are important for the environment infrastructure, and it's now more important than ever to create bicycle-friendly workplaces and environments. Bicycles are cost-effective and an environmentally friendly means of transportation, producing zero pollution and reducing everyday traffic congestion. Not only will it be a positive effect in the environment, but it promotes the health and wellness of City Hall. So great motion, Council President. Thank you.
Any other councilors wishing to speak? All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 32, motion presented by Councilor Janino, that the mayor request the Traffic Division and DPW to install traffic calming measures at the following locations. 1, solar-powered speed limit sign on Oakwood Ave, and 2, bollards or a guardrail at 375 Washington Ave in the intersection of Washington Ave and Sargent Street.
Councilor Janino.
First location, Oakwood Avenue, we put down several stop signs down there over the years. We get complaints down there for years and years about the cars speeding, cutting through the neighborhood and stuff like that. And I think that if we put the solar-powered speed signs in, it'll make the residents aware of how fast they're going through the neighborhood, rather than just driving and put a speed bump in and forget about it. I think the solar-powered sign's the way to go with it. And the second location on Washington Avenue, there's a brand-new fence over there. And there was a brand-new fence there last year, and the year before that, and the year before that. So I'd like to get some ballers put up over there, stop the cars from going through the guy's driveway and through this fence. We good? Again? Get the ballers?
Apparently you have a soundtrack.
That's not me.
Continue, Councilor, you're good.
I'm not going to dance either. No, but the Washington Avenue one, the fence keeps getting driven through. So I think it's time to put some bollards there or a guardrail or something on the corner just to stop, because the fence has been replaced, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 times in the last 4 or 5 years. So I'd like to go before either the Traffic Commission or the Public Safety.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors wishing to speak? Councilor Silvestri.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with Councilor Janino. I know they're a little expensive, but I really, truly believe, and some people might think this is naive, but I think the solar sign that shows your speed has a little bit more impact. You always don't know where the speed bump is, but I know when I see that and it's 10 miles an hour over, I hit the brake immediately. I know most people would do that, so I think that's the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McKenna.
Councilor Silvestri, maybe that you put on your brakes, but I've seen cars try to beat the solar flashing speed limit, so up Winthrop Ave. But anyways, I just would like to put an amendment to Councilor Janino's motion. We need a bowler at 87 Beach Street because they're coming off of the sidewalk. They're going in between. We have 2 bowlers there now, and bollard. We have a bollard there, and they're going in between the telephone pole and the bollard, and they're going right off the street, so we need another one, so we need 3 of them. We have 2 now. So I would like to make an amendment that happens, 87 Beach Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors wishing to speak?
You know I can't talk.
On the motion as amended? All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 33, motion presented by Councilors Guarino Sawaya and Janino, that the mayor request MassDOT to examine all poles and lights for deficiencies on Squire Road from Copeland to Butler Circle. Many of the lights are not functioning, causing a public safety hazard for pedestrians and vehicular traffic. Councilor Zambudo is recorded as recused from this motion.
Councilor Guarino Sawaya.
I received an email from a constituent who travels Squire Road at night to pick up her daughter on a daily basis from Northgate. And she's witnessed many traffic accidents because of the poor lighting situation on Squire Road. There's been quite a few motor vehicle accidents there as well, and people getting hit by cars in the last few years. Their poles are there. There's, I want to say about 20 poles or so, but most of them don't have lights on them. I don't understand why they're there. They're just light poles with nothing on them. I'd like this to be sent to the traffic division or public safety to see what the best course of action would be for us to take, and also to reach out to National Grid to do a health check on the existing lights, because some of them are not working properly as well, the ones that are working. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Janino?
As the Councilwoman said, it's very dark over there. The area is not lit well at all, and there's been many accidents, and I've received many phone calls about the darkness, people crossing the streets and stuff. I'd like to put a request into Mass DOT, just put lights up over there.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors wishing to speak? What was your will?
Put a motion in Mass DOT to install the lights, to look at the area to put lights in for us.
Okay. All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 35, motion presented by Councilor Guarino Sawaya, that the mayor be requested to establish a program in which residents, developers, corporations, etc., can purchase an engraved walkway paver for the purpose of raising funds to be deposited into the Revere High School Stabilization Fund. The program could offer pavers in assorted colors and materials to coincide with a tiered donation level. Example, red, $100, white, $250, blue, $500, gold, $1,000, glass, $5,000, and metal, $10,000. The pavers to be used should be included in the union's bulk purchase of materials used to construct the high school.
Counselor Guarino Sawaya?
Thank you, Mr. President. Following in Councilor Silvestri's footsteps of what he did over at the Veterans Building, and this is between Ed Terrell and I were speaking about it, and this actually came from Ed, who is a constituent and a resident of Revere, and he was thinking about it as well. So we had a conversation. I said, you know something, I'm going to put it in as a motion. We need to be creative about the projects, how this project gets funded. Everybody was talking about the high school, and we don't want to put a bigger tax burden on the people. So I'm very excited about this motion, as I feel it can bring a couple of $1 million and be inclusive to all while taking some burden off these taxpayers. This is a direct community investment. Each resident or family will be able to purchase a brick with their family name on it and be a part of history. This will be similar to the bricks at the American Legion, but also with the flair. Maybe we can ask the high school students to design patterns to represent Revere and our diverse ethnicity. We can sell more expensive bricks like the silver and gold ones or the glass to the developers who will be building the building and the unions that will put it to work, that we put to work. I'm certain graduates from Revere High School will come back, and they'd be honored to come back and purchase a brick to help build the new school. And all proceeds from the bricks shall be put in the high school stabilization fund. So they can, and what I was thinking is maybe putting it in the courtyard, in the back of the school, so it's not like right in front of the school, but everybody can get to enjoy it in the courtyard. You can make the American flag, you can make the Hispanic, the Colombian flag, whatever you want, the Italian flag, anything, and just design it with the colored bricks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors wishing to speak? All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 36, motion presented by Councilor Guarino Sawaya, that the mayor be requested to submit an appropriation request to the City Council for the purpose of transferring all revenue generated from the parking lot leases at Wonderland to the Revere High School Stabilization Trust Fund beginning July 1 of '23 to present and throughout the life of the leases.
Counselor Guarino Sawaya?
Okay, I have 5 points. 1, this is a direct community investment. Transferring parking lot lease revenues from Wonderland to the new high school stabilization fund directly invests in community infrastructure, ensuring that the future generations have access to high-quality facilities without burdening taxpayers. 2, budget transparency and accountability. By earmarking parking lot lease revenues for the high school stabilization fund, the allocation of funds becomes transparent and accountable. It provides clarity on where the revenues are being directed, ensuring they serve a specific purpose rather than being absorbed in the general fund. Long-term financial planning. Utilizing parking lot lease revenues for high school building costs enables financial planning. It creates a sustainable funding source for ongoing maintenance, renovations, and future expansion projects, mitigating the need for sudden tax increase or bond issuance. Support educational excellence. Investing in a high school facility enhances the learning environment and supports academic excellence. Upgraded facilities can attract quality educators, improve students' morale, and foster a conducive atmosphere for teaching and learning, ultimately benefiting the entire community. And number 5, relieving taxpayer burden, the most important. Redirecting parking lot lease revenues to the high school stabilization funds helps alleviate the burden on taxpayers. By leveraging alternative revenue streams, the community can fund essential projects without resorting to increased taxes, promoting financial stability and equitable distribution of financial resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors wishing to speak? All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 37, motion presented by Councilor Guarino Sawaya that the mayor request the DCR to erect a temporary reflective road cone barrier for the entire length of 548 Revere Beach Boulevard, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, until construction has been completed on the new residential development as a matter of public safety. Currently, lane changes are signified by only 2 street cones, which is wholly insufficient for ensuring the safety of motorists, as there have been reports of near head-on collisions.
Councilor Guarino Sawaya.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've received about 3 phone calls of nearly head-on collisions at night from people traveling from Revere Beach Boulevard, and they didn't know that there was a traffic pattern change. So since this motion was put in, DCR has actually scaled back the pedestrian walkway, about moving the Jersey barriers back about 1.5 feet, I want to say, but it's still not good enough. It is helpful to allow larger vehicles to be traveling, but what they need to do is, I think they're called channelizer reflective cones. We need about 20 altogether. There are 2 at the beginning and 2 at the end. What they need to do is put them straight across so people know at night, and they can see it through reflectors, that they are moving in a different pattern. So the Revere Beach Boulevard isn't straight down from one side to the other. It actually curves over where they're building. So that's all I'm asking for is approximately 16 more cones to go straight across. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors wishing to speak? Counselor Zambuto.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a good motion, and it is very dangerous down there at night. And I've almost hit those barriers myself because it's dark and it's not a proper safety setup over there. So I agree with the council wholeheartedly.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors wishing to speak? All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 38, motion presented by Councilors McKenna and Council President Cogliandro, that the mayor be requested to hire an independent environmental assessment company for the purpose of conducting a full and complete environmental assessment and thorough geotechnical testing of the proposed high school site at Wonderland to ensure that there are no hidden site development costs associated with the existence of soil conditions, hazardous materials, wetlands, and other environmentally sensitive considerations. The results of the assessment and testing shall be provided to the City Council in a timely manner to allow for public review and a reasonable opportunity for public comment thereon prior to the anticipated public hearing for the bond authorization request.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. It's been concerning to hear rumors that the racetrack at Wonderland is compromised with wetlands. Seeing the schematic design at the last meeting for the new high school, it will sit on a portion of that track. I also heard that the dirt at Wonderland site is compromised, dirty dirt, which means that the dirt would have to be dug up and trucked out of the site. I did a little bit of homework. 1 cubic yard of dirt is $140 to $230. That is equal to 1 wheelbarrow. Wynn paid $68 million to clean up the Encore site, which he didn't really complete, but he did it. And that was 20 acres. Wonderland is 31. Although the Encore site was contaminated with chemicals from the former company Monsanto's, we don't know what we will find at Wonderland. 100 years of what? These are underestimated costs for this project that the City Council should know now, before the final costs come out and how much the city has to pay for the new high school. And that's why we're presenting this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Permission to speak from the chair. Thank you. My major concern, I've been asking about conservation since 2022. To hear that the ANRAD was withdrawn to save money and time was really disappointing, because regardless, we own that property and we should know what we're getting into with it. And my concern now is that we need to restart that process so that we know exactly where we can and cannot build on that property. We may have to change the design to the school somewhat. The last that we heard, there were 8 additional flags put out during the ANRAD. They were never confirmed, and that's where the project, or that part of the project, died. So again, I ask that we get on top of the conservation on this property so we can really start getting into the finances, which is the #1 concern for some of us up here. So thank you. Councilor Silvestri.
Thank you, Mr. President. I could be wrong, but isn't that what they're already doing with the ground spores and testing? Wasn't Mr. Dakin up here saying that that's when they would go back, once we approved the Wonderland site, they were going to go back and test the ground?
They have not started the ANRAD process again. I've confirmed with the Concom.
Okay.
And they may, sorry, Councilor, it may be a situation where the longer you let wetlands sit, the more they grow. And because we've waited, we may have to do that first portion of it over again. Because, like I said, we did find additional flagging. There might be even more addition to that flagging. So this isn't to say Wonderland's bad. This is to say that's where we're building the school. We got to make sure we know what's going on with that property. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, what's this going to cost? We're going to hire another company to do the same thing that Brian Dakin's company is doing, and they're running parallel now at this point. So I just have a problem. I want to know how much money it's going to cost. So I'd look into the feasibility of it rather than just dive into it and require it happen.
We know how much it's going to cost. It was going to cost us an additional $8,000 to finish the project because they found the additional flagging. So all this is asking is for the process to be started again, not to do and have another company come out and do this. It's to have this process begin now, because we need to know. We have until June. We have until June.
So it's only going to cost $8,000?
It was $8,000 additional dollars that was required to finish the ANRAD. And it was sent to the Conservation Commission. It could not be done by the Conservation Commission because it was too big of a job. So they had to hire a third party. And like I said, that's exactly where the project died.
So it's $8,000 to finish what wasn't started, but now we have to start from the beginning. What's it going to cost us right from the beginning?
But this should be a cost associated with building the high school because we let it sit And now, if we take the original assessment, we could be off an additional flag, is all I'm saying, because we've let it sit for so long. Like I said, it was disappointing to hear that this project, well, this process was stopped, because we own the property regardless. Councilor Zambudo.
I think it's a great motion. We need to know every single thing about that site before we bond the school.
Councilor Kelly.
That's exactly, thank you, that's exactly what I was going to say. The more unknowns that we have when it comes time to vote on the funding, the more difficult it's going to be for us to feel confident in our vote. So I'm in favor of this regardless of the cost, because it's information that is going to be vital to our decision-making process regarding the funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Jaramillo.
Mr. President, I just wanted to add a friendly amendment to this motion if possible that, I'm sorry?
As long as it's friendly.
Yeah, it's relevant. That this independent assessment company also run an assessment on the sustainability of the potential building from its water and sewer infrastructure, energy infrastructure, and the potential cost savings of transitioning to the greenest possible building we could build. Is that relevant? You didn't hear it. Well.
We might need those interpreters sooner than we thought.
Yeah, clearly.
Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'm a little confused. Is Mr. Dakin's company going ahead with this environmental study, and we're asking for a third party to confirm what their findings are? When it says third party or independent, I'm getting the feeling that we're hiring somebody else.
I'm sorry, Councilor, we are.
We are.
We already are. This is what I was trying to explain is.
Okay.
The Conservation Commission, this job is too big for our Conservation Commission.
Okay.
We were in the process of searching for an independent third
Okay.
party to complete the ANRAD. And that's, again, where we were stopped and where it was withdrawn at a Concom.
And this money is already been appropriated for the high school?
Correct. The
Okay.
last that was supposed to happen, and I just want to let everybody know that I'm getting my data directly from the building committee meetings.
Okay.
We had already paid for the process to be done. Because there was additional wetlands found, we had to pay, or we were going to pay, an additional $8,000 to continue the study of, to confirm the results from the test.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. Anyone else wishing to speak on the motion as amended? All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 39, motion presented by Councilor Kelly, that the City Council order to a public hearing an ordinance requiring the publication of certain records of the police department.
Councilor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I did this motion just in trying to get bring some awareness to the constituents who call me. There used to be, in days gone past, that the police blotter was published in local papers. We no longer do that. And I just want to try to bring some awareness, even if it's general information regarding break-ins or things like that, and have it somewhere on maybe our revere.org website that residents can go to as kind of a check-in to see statistics regarding crime in our community. So I do want to do some additional digging to make sure that there's no risk of liability to the city in terms of what type of information we're putting out there. So I just want to make that caveat. So maybe we could send this to public safety or legislative affairs to just further look into it. Thank you.
Motion to move this to Health and Human Services.
There's a motion on the floor to send this to Health and Human Services Subcommittee.
Why not public safety?
Counselor, the idea is intriguing, and I think, given the presentation that we had from one of the developers just last week, where they were talking about the site at Lee Trailer Park and the way they were referring to folks who were clearly dealing with mental health and substance use issues, I would like us to really look at this issue with a human lens. If we're going to be posting public information for the safety of not just the folks who are affected by a substance use or mental health issue, but also the folks who may experience things surrounding that, I think that we should take a human service lens to this, Council.
Mr. President?
Councilor Kelly.
So, yeah, I agree, and that's why this information, I wouldn't be requesting names or addresses or anything like that. This would be more a general, a very general classification of, say, what's going on, just to bring people some awareness so that they know, gee, there was a break-in, 2 streets over from me, or something happened. It seems like people in the community can't get any information like that at all. I'm not looking to, again, publicize names or any specifics. This would be a very general type of data, almost, that I would want to bring awareness to. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. And permission to speak from the chair. Councilor Novoselsky, go ahead first.
Thank you. Just FYI, I do remember when this was in the Revere Journal. I don't believe it was ever in the Advocate, but I know it was in the Journal. But I believe the Journal did that on their own. It was not done through the city, and we didn't pay for it. So maybe we should ask the Journal to start doing it again.
Councilor Silvestri.
I wasn't going to speak on this motion, but I think that if, again, if we do ask the Journal to start on their own.
They said no.
Oh, I'm actually kind of glad, because then I'm thinking they would go right back to the old police blotter. And as Councilor Warmello stated, you're not guilty, you're innocent until proven guilty. So at the day of arrest, your name then goes in the police blotter, and that might not be the case. So I think that statistics and break-ins in neighborhoods are good information for people to know, and I think it's a great motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. If I may, I completely agree. That was the point I was going to make. Someone gets their wrongful anything and their name gets out there, or they get accused of something, and all of a sudden their life's over. We should not be responsible for that happening. But I do agree with this motion. We do need to provide education to the community. We have a right to feel safe. Any other councilors wishing to speak? So on the motion to send this to Health and Human Services, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 40, motion presented by Councilors Haas and Guarino-Sawaya that the mayor, in conjunction with the Youth Works Department, investigate the feasibility of establishing a teen shoveling program which would pair students with seniors and disabled residents based on location who have had trouble maintaining their property during the winter months. The program would provide students monetary compensation and/or community service hours.
Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the last few years, I've noticed there's been an increase in the number of residents who have inquired about the Snow Angels wait list. And this is especially true for disabled people or spouses of people who are disabled. And this winter, I saw that Somerville had kicked off a teen shoveling program that would link high school students and seniors based on geographical location for the entirety of the winter season. The students wouldn't be required to use snow blowers, shovel out vehicles, or even touch vehicles. It was mostly due to shoveling sidewalks, driveways, and walkways. The students could receive compensation, or they could receive community service hours at their high school. And just the other day, after the motion was submitted, I received an email from a senior. I believe she lives on Washington Ave, and her husband is not in great shape health-wise. He has severe heart issues, and she had reached out and told me a couple of stories about how she had to do the brunt of the shoveling work, and she's also a senior. And I feel like a program like this could benefit students, but it could also benefit our many seniors and disabled residents that have yet to make it to the Snow Angels list. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Guarino Sawaya.
I totally agree with Counselor Haas. This motion will actually work in conjunction with the Snow Angels. It will only open the opportunity for more elderly and disabled people to be helped faster, because that list is so long that we can't get to everybody fast enough. And this will open up a wider range of people to be helped. And the most important thing is it's going to help teach high schoolers how to interact with their elders, and they can help each other in different ways and start giving them a sense of responsibility. So I absolutely was so into doing this with Counselor Haas. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Silvestri.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I, too, agree that this is a great motion. Come the end of the year, all students are looking for community service hours. And I hate to pull them away from the Veterans Office and placing flags in the ground, but if we can get some veterans and some elderly shoveled in storms, I say let's go for it. I do have one concern, though. I just don't want this dropped on the lap of Major Bowker and the JRTC program. So I just hope we have another idea in place that it's not just going to give her another 500 students to run. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mr. President, may I?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So I noticed in Somerville, when they launched the program, I believe they went through their youth services department. So that's why I posed this question and this motion to the Youth Works program in Revere. So hopefully we can work something out with them in their use of interns and high school students. And it could also possibly be the rec department as well too, but that's something we'll have to talk to the Youth Works department about. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was surprised about that. I thought there was many more people that were going to go. So I think this is a great motion, but we've tried to do this a couple of years ago, and it failed. And the reason why is because kids didn't want to get involved. The junior ROTC really doesn't have a lot of kids. They have a number of kids, and those kids are working hard right now. There is, and I don't know, I mean, I think you could talk to the senior advisors or the advisors of each class, but students need a number of community service hours to graduate. So, I mean, and every teacher has freshmen, sophomores. So if you could talk to the advisors and maybe we could collaborate and make up some sort of a program that these kids can get in their freshman year, they get 15 if they do 15 hours or whatever it is. And because they need a number of hours, a lot of, is it 30? So, I mean, and they have to get signed off and everything. So I just think that we should maybe talk to the advisors in school and see if we can set up some sort of a program with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, same as everybody else, I think this is a great idea, and just adds on to the senior shoveling program, Snow Angels. JROTC kids do an outstanding job, and Major Bowker has that program under control. The only problem I have, and I've told her this, I think they only do maybe about 60 or 70 seniors around the city. And and I know a few people that have them, and they have 12 kids come to their house. Why do we have 12 kids go to, I know you want to make things easy for everybody, but 12 kids to one house, 12 cadets, I'm sorry. You know, you could split it to 6, and it would be enough to do a set of stairs, a driveway, and a sidewalk for 6 kids. And you can add on to the number of seniors or disabled people in the city. So you could almost double it if we do that. Now, you know, Major Bowker's, she's a tough cookie, to say the least. And, you know, she and Sergeant Major Callender and Master Sergeant, they all do a great job, and I see the kids out down in Shirley Ave area every snowstorm. But, you know, they're all at Dunkin' Donuts when they're taking a break. Sorry, police. But, you know, and I know they're resting and trying to keep warm. But this was also something that I mentioned a couple weeks ago about the ice on city sidewalks next to city property. They can go by and have, you know, they're working with DPW anyways. They can go by with a bag of, you know, rock salt or with calcium chloride and spread it on these city properties. They go right by them anyways. So I think that would be a good idea. And also, we have Roca. They have the kids from Roca that go around the city. Right now, on a clean day, they'll go down different streets, Shirley Ave, Broadway, clean up along the curb, clean up around the barrels that it gets spilt over. So, you know, I think these are 2 areas that we have to look at, and I think the investigation should work out well, and if everybody works together. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Guarino-Sawaya.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually sat down with Mayor Pat Keefe about this last week concerning the snow angels, and he's willing to sit down with Bob Hass and myself to work things out with the children, with the kids. Having 12 people at one house is absolutely ridiculous. It only takes 2 or 3 for them to be at each house, so we can actually get more homes done. Also, how about asking maybe Matt Terrell to help us with this and try to recruit more kids that want to help out and get their community service? I think that would be another route that we can explore. But I think this is going to be the best, just to expand the program.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Hass. Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record.
Ed Terrell, 70 Sewell Street, Revere, Mass. Just an idea, there seems to be a great need for this. Why don't we toss the problem to our robotics team and see what they come up with? They might come up with something brand new that's very cheap and effective that could solve this problem like this. See what happens.
Thank you, sir. Any other councilors wishing to speak? All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 41, motion presented by Councilor Hass that the mayor be requested to hire a full-time custodian or station an existing DPW employee full-time at the Rossetti Cowan Senior Center.
Councilor Hass.
Thank you, Mr. President. So currently, the senior center has a morning trash pickup and an afternoon trash pickup with a mopping and cleaning of the areas quickly in the morning by the DPW. And the DPW men are mostly on call, I'd say, during the day, and they do a fantastic job. They respond quickly. They're there at the drop of a hat and always willing to help. But more oftentimes than not, especially in the winter months, that responsibility falls on the shoulders of the office staff. And that can be anything from seniors dragging in snow and the floors becoming slippery in an instant, and to people almost falling, to some seniors falling, using walkers, canes. It can be anything. The senior center also has 5 bathrooms and a working kitchen where they use an oven to cook hot meals for the seniors. And there are a couple of hundred senior center members, and they also utilize the upstairs bathrooms, and have exercise classes there. And I just think it would benefit the seniors and the building overall if they had someone stationed there for the duration of that the senior center is open, and that way any cleanliness or spills or bathroom issues or simple maintenance wouldn't go untouched until someone got there late in the afternoon or even the next day. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors wishing to speak? All in favor, all opposed? So ordered. If I may speak from the chair briefly, just to go back to Counselor Kelly's motion, we put it in the subcommittee. I just did a quick search, and it looks like the Revere Police Department has the blotter, and it stopped in February of 2023. So they do have it there, and the thing that I really like about it is it's redacted. So there's no names. It doesn't even give the number of the address. It's pretty much how Ed Terrell reports to us. So, thank you.
Calendar item number 42, motion presented by Councilors Jaramillo and Guarino Sawaya, that the City Council approve the attached resolution in honor of Patty Wallach Nickel, a beloved caregiver who served the residents of the Jack Satter House.
Councilor Jaramillo. Councilor Guarino Sawaya.
Thank you, Mr. President. When Councilor Yaramillo approached me with this motion, I was very excited because I had already promised the people at the Jack Satter House that we would do something for Patty. The loss of Patty Nickel was a tragic shock to the residents of the Jack Satter House and to everyone who loved her. She was a staple at the Satter House, and I'm honored and proud to be the co-sponsor of this motion with my colleague, Juan Yaramillo. Patty was a great person, known as a dedicated caregiver and fierce advocate for the elderly. Dedicating a plaque at the 411 bus stop in her memory is the right thing to do. But this is just the beginning. We're asking that the mayor assist us in trying to find ways to make the bus stop free for all low-income seniors who rely on the public transportation. Juan?
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor Jaramillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. So of course, we care a lot, we care a lot about the folks at the Jack Satter House, and we want to honor the life of this lifelong advocate for her clients, not just at the Jack Satter House, but all folks in the older community. And I could think of no better way to do this than to ask the mayor, after the threats that have been made that the 411 bus stop at the Jack Satter House would be discontinued, that we don't just make an investment in that bus stop to keep it, but that we make an investment to ensure that the folks that Patty cared so deeply about, who used this bus stop to go get their groceries, who used this bus stop to go to their doctor's appointments, or just to be part of our community, and ensure their independence as they age with grace. And so, Councilor Guarino Sawaya had this great idea, and I think that it's fitting that we honor this person's life by continuing to advocate for her clients, not just at the Jack Satter House, but throughout Revere, who fit within the criteria outlined. So with that, Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the main part of this, other than the last paragraph, is something that was dear to my heart last year, when I was first notified that they was trying to do this, and I contacted Representative Turco and Representative Janino, and we finally got, and also, Channel 4, and they came down and did the video of everybody protesting down at the bus stop, which I was there, and Councilor Powers was there, and it was heartwarming to see that these seniors came out with their walkers and the wheelchairs to protest the disbanding of this particular bus stop. I think it's great that we're endorsing our support to keep the bus stop with this resolution. But on the last paragraph, that putting a plaque on the bus stop is something that we have to get permission from the MBTA. So I think it's something that we add in here, that the mayor requests the MBTA to allow us to put a plaque on that bus stop, remembering Patty. So, if we can just revise the wording that make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors wishing to speak? All in favor? Oh, my apologies. We have a resident that would like to share something. Name and address for the record, sir.
Anthony Paziali, 51 Arcadia Street. Mr. President and council members, there's one thing missing from this story. Patty was a wonderful woman. She was fantastic. I was lucky to work with her on a bunch of things happening at the Satter House. But one of the things that she was working on was having parking for health care workers that go to the Satter House. And this is unfortunately how this poor woman came to her death, is she was, if there was parking for her, either at the Satter House or on the side of the street on Oak Island where the Satter House is, she wouldn't be crossing the street to get to her car, nor would the person that, I feel awful for the person too that hit her, but the woman that was backing up was looking for a parking spot. She was a healthcare worker backing up quickly to get to a corner spot on the corner of Oak Island and Arcadia Street. So I don't know if that's something you guys can add to this. The stuff that you guys are doing on Bus 411 absolutely needs to happen. I live right there. Thank you guys for doing that. But I'd really like to see the city to step up and find parking for the healthcare workers in a safe place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Silvestri?
Yes, through you to Mr. Paziali, I just want to commend you for coming up and speaking. But right now, there's a shortage of parking for even residents at the Jack Satter House. There's a wait list for residents, so I think that's the issue. They're trying to get the residents parking. As tragic of a story as it is, it's a sad situation.
Thank you, Counselor. All in favor? All opposed? So ordered. If everybody could stay seated, please. We're not ready to end the meeting just yet. We have School Committee member and Regional School Committee member Anthony Caggiano here. He's going to come up and share some information about the potential savings we're going to get from the increase in the MSBA reimbursement to the vocational school.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Revere City Council. Right now, the vocational school is scheduled to open in 2026. We will be receiving additional seating, which we drastically need, because right now we're averaging about 300 applications per year. So we can use as many seats as we can. If I can I pass out a few things, pass something out?
You can hand them right to the clerk, sir.
Okay. As you know, we've received additional funding from the MSBA, which gave us a surplus, which we drastically needed for the city of Revere.
Move the mic over.
Okay. The top paper you'll see, if you look under estimated debt service, if you look down at the total, it's $59,272,995. That's based on 19.4% of the total student enrollment. Now, if you look on the second page, this will be incorporated with our additional funding, which will be to all the cities and towns. If you look at the bottom, the new revised payments will be at a total of $54,107,858. So it'll be a cost savings for the city for the life of the bond of $5.1 million.
That's great. Thank
Any
you.
questions?
Thank you for waiting to speak at the end. I apologize we couldn't
No
get you on
problem.
the agenda sooner.
I hope that's enough money for you.
That's going to help significantly.
Thank you.
That's great news. So I just want to announce that the City Hall buildings will be closed tomorrow. 311 in the DPW will be open. The parking ban began tonight at 8 p.m. The DPW will begin pre-treating the streets tonight after midnight, And we will have 40-plus pieces of apparatus on the road tomorrow to make sure that we get the roads clear. Thank you all very much. Oh, yes, and school is closed. Meeting is adjourned.